Welcome to Starcaster Radio. I have Naomi and Barbara, and this is Jules, and we just want to welcome you to the show today. And we would like to call in the Council of Light and the Galactic Council and all beings of love and above that are here to support creating this star family on the new Earth. So we're going to start with just a little meditation. So if you all want to shut your eyes and just find a comfortable place, we just ask that you not listen to this while you are driving. So go ahead and start breathing in and out through your heart, just resting in the radiant glory of your heart. Breathing in, breathing out as you connect to your home frequency, then connecting to your home star, and connecting to the God particle or first particle of existence. Just feeling this stream of energy flowing down from the God particle back through your home star, through your home frequency, and then resting back into your heart. Now I want you to imagine before you is a beautiful golden river of light. You walk over to the river, you test the waters with your toes, and you feel how warm and inviting it is. You start to submerge your body into this golden river of light, and you notice as you enter that light begins to radiate throughout your body as it enters every cell and every molecule. It lights up the DNA, connecting your codes to your divinity, and you lay back and just allow the current of this beautiful river of golden light gently bring you down this beautiful river of golden light as you just float. You feel a sense of freedom and what it feels like to be in flow. And you open your eyes and look above you as the trees pass by. You just feel this beautiful golden energy flow throughout your body, just allowing the stream of light that's coming down from the God particle through your home star and connecting you fully to the light of your higher self as you radiate in your home frequency. Just floating along as this light works throughout your body, activating the DNA, activating your genetic codes, and evolving you up to the next level of your personal evolution. You feel this light pulsating through your body. You see the light of your cells get brighter, and the blood that flows through you is full of golden dust, just beautiful, beautiful programs that are connecting to the New Earth Matrix as they're downloaded and you are upgraded, evolving past any limitations of consciousness as you expand even more fully into the New Earth Matrix. And you feel the current of this beautiful golden river start to quicken just a little. You may feel your heart beat just a little bit faster. And there's an instinct inside of you that feels like, oh, maybe I should get out of this river. Am I safe? But you hear the voice within you saying, trust and flow. The light has your back. And as the river begins to pick up and the turbulence begins to whip your body around just a little bit more, you have the thought of, again, that maybe I should get out. But with that thought, you know that when you get out, this beautiful light of energy that is supporting and involving you will diminish. And the only way to completely enter the new earth is to go with the current. So you allow your body to float down, and you hear a waterfall ahead of you. Trust and flow, the light has your back. You allow yourself to go over the edge of the waterfall, and you begin to gently float, just like a feather, descending down into the unknown space. And you open your eyes to see a beautiful canvas in front of you that's just waiting for you to create your own new earth reality. So you pick up a brush and swipe across the canvas. And even though you don't have full understanding of what you're creating, you know that the light within you and without you is fully supporting the evolution of consciousness as you create your new earth reality. And just sit in this beautiful space that you've created for yourself today, knowing that this canvas is always here for you to create from this unknown space where you're fully supported by the light within you and without you. It is done. All right, so we were just going to recap a little bit about last week's episode about breaking the loop of just those third dimensional programs that we so easily get sucked back into. And Naomi, did you want to start off with, did you have any experiences as we kind of played around with breaking those loops this week?
I did, and Julie, that was a beautiful meditation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so last week we created an I am statement that was, I am connecting to the New Earth Matrix through the grid within my heart. And doing that was just so beautiful and so powerful for me this week. And we also asked for a download last week to become consciously aware of the third dimensional loop and being able to, instead of repeat it, to enter the grid of the new earth. And so I was working on that last week. And I was noticing I was having experiences with my family, and some of them were very new earth and oneness, and others seemed to be more in duality. And so I'll use my husband, our relationship, as an example. And I can use him because we have the best relationship. Like, I'm so in love with my husband. We've been dating since I was 15, and we've been together longer than before I knew him. So we definitely can, we know what each other's thinking, and we pick up on vibration so easily. So my husband is building our family this beautiful patio, and just the frequencies coming in outside around it with just all the love is amazing. And it just feels great to be outside. So we built this beautiful patio, and around the patio there's a stone planter box, and it's just so beautiful. And so he ordered for me these beautiful trellises with the tree of life for the jasmine to grow. And it's just so beautiful that he would do this, and so kind, and just feels so, I'm just getting chills thinking about it, like so New Earth. And so that was such a beautiful experience this week. But then within that same amount of time, like within 72 hours, I also noticed experiences we were having that felt more in duality. And I'll just give an example. I picked my daughter up for gymnastics, and we're driving home, and we see these lights in the sky that was definitely like unidentified flying object. Like, I don't know if it was a spaceship or what it was, but my daughter and I were so exciting, and we were laughing, and she took some pictures and some videos. And we got home, and I was telling my husband about it, and I don't know, the energy I was getting was almost like more of a judgment, but all the words he was saying to me was kind and loving, but he didn't ask to watch the video, and I could just feel some resistance. And I just felt like that experience was more in duality because I was feeling the judgment. So when I get that experience of feeling the judgment or feeling the resistance, like, what do I do with that energy? How do I transcend that experience when I'm experiencing something and it feels more from the third dimensional matrix than the New Earth?
Right. So, but the first thing that comes to mind, yeah, thank you for sharing that, Naomi. And like, as you were talking, like when you kept on saying, that you felt the resistance, like the first thing that I was like feeling in myself is the resistance within myself. So anytime that we're registering resistance on the outside of us, what we're really feeling is the resistance from the inside of us. And so tracing that energy pattern of duality within ourselves. And it's so perfect that you brought up this experience, because it truly is that kind of like when when we had the meditation and we're, the river starts to pick up and we start to go into that place of, am I safe? And that resistance is that part of the brain that is resisting not having control. So like with your husband, like you wanted this reaction from him where, you bonded and got close and, you got to experience with him the experience that you were trying to share. But then when you felt resistance from him fully experiencing it the way you wanted him to, that piece of like not having control came in, and it's like the brain firing this little thing saying, okay, this isn't safe, because it's a resistance within yourself by not, I guess you were kind of saying it, the judgment. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that perfectly, but it's like when we feel a frequency outside of ourselves that isn't resonating with the experience that we were expecting, the chemical response starts, and that's when the loop will begin the process. And it's like cutting that off is, so how do we do that? And I think that in the meditation, it was so perfectly said, is that we just do it anyways. We trust and flow and not judge the experience and stay with the current.
Okay, so honestly, I was aware the loop was coming in, like I could feel it. But in that moment, I didn't know what to do to get out of the third dimensional loop of the matrix and enter the matrix of the New Earth.
If I could interject something here, it's just coming into me about that situation in the loop and getting in this situation of judgment and feeling that energy. One way you might want to attack it is to step back long enough to identify, like you did. You identified the feeling, and then as you step back in to the loop, because you're in the loop, whether you like it or not, you're in the loop. So then you need to communicate to that other person in a loving manner to identify what they're doing so that they then can identify what's happening, such as maybe saying to your husband, I understand you're feeling a bit of judgment, and I honor that, and you're totally all right with me for you to maybe not agree or see it as I see it. I just want to acknowledge that that's fine. I'm just wanting to share my energy and my thoughts with you. Just an example. That seems to work really well for me when I attack it in that way. And then that other person has time to see how they're interacting, whether they're identifying it or not. Now they have to look at it. Now they have to identify it because it's being put before them. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, and
it does make sense.
That is going to take awareness. I'll have to be aware to be loving, because in the third dimensional, loop, it almost feels like my ego wants to fire back, but I still do it from a place of the New Earth Matrix and make those comments or conversation in a loving way.
It's definitely something you have to. Number one, you have to make an intention that's how you want to handle it, and then after you make that intention, then you're more easily, because you've given yourself permission to do this then. So then you can more easily say the right words, stand in your power, stand in their love, and they feel that energy. And no more is it an aggressive energy or a energy where you're disagreeing with someone or trying to push your thoughts on them, which is what causes judgment. They feel like you're pushing your thoughts on them and they don't agree, so they push back.
Right.
So it's giving both of you permission to express how you feel without aggression and without judgment.
Okay, I would like to make an intention to communicate with people in a loving way when I'm feeling judgment towards me. And stand in my power. I think that's it. I want to be able to stand in my power and articulate these things in a loving way and transcend the energy.
Right. Absolutely. And it's amazing, I can tell you, because I have walked this path for a long time, trying to understand how to deal with this, with these different power struggles is what it is, between especially your family members, your husband, your close, acquaintances, friends, or whatever. When you feel this power struggle, and that's what it basically is. It's one person's feeling like someone's trying to take their power away from them, and so they get aggressive or they get, confrontational or whatever. So it's learning how to identify that when someone is feeling that from you, and not only do you still stand in your power, but you stand in your power covered in love and light. And when you stand in your power covered with that love and light, without I'm going to prove this to you intention, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or you need to believe this because I believe it. Can't you believe it? What's wrong with you? You can't see what I'm saying. That type of intention in comparison to love and light. Okay? You're coming from what you're coming from then is you're standing in your power and you're just expressing your observation. It's not intimidating.
Okay,
I like that. I feel like there's definitely a download that needs to come in there about okay, so let's just follow that. I feel so it's still kind of going back to that place of so when we stand in our power, we're not needing a response one way or the other from the person that's outside of ourselves that is reflecting this experience for us. And so the part of us that the resistance there is the part of us that wants to control the other person so that we can have the experience that we're expecting. But if we let go of that, then what download are we asking for? We're asking to or let's go into. Go ahead, Barbara, because I'm having trouble coming up with it.
I understand. What I'm seeing is that we need to ask for a download to stand in our power, but to be able to express ourselves with the power of the light covering us and only projecting light and not projecting. We're only projecting. We're going to cover ourselves with light, so that whatever we say comes out in the form of light and love, not in the form of third-dimensional judgment or expression, control, power.
Or separation, or even separation.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that I guess if we say whatever we say or whatever we're expressing, if we can just express it in love, then that's how it's going to come out. And then we're not going to get that backup reaction of someone feeling like you're trying to take their power away from them.
So it's a lot like when we had that episode about standing in our home frequency. It's like, when we say standing in our power, I feel like what we're really saying is that we're resonating in our home frequency. Like we're radiating in the truth of who we are. And if we're radiating from the truth of who we are, the other person is going to receive that truth from the place of love.
Absolutely. Yes, I think that's good.
I love it. I'm just getting chills around this. And it's so subtle. It's so subtle, yet these little tiny, just being conscious of these small things helps us be and live more and more in the newer matrix.
It's the little things that trip you up, not the big things. And once you start focusing on the little things, no longer is there a big thing. It just disappears.
It's funny when you were saying that, Barbara, I had this vision of, like it's just kind of like walking through life and just trying, like really being conscious of staying in our home frequency. And then there's just like all these little experiences, and we have these little hooks that leave our body and hook into these different experiences where we're leaking our energy because they aren't in resonance with what our quote unquote we want the experience to be, when it's not about hooking into the experience and losing our energy to it. It's so I love the visualization that we had last week where we unhook from the third dimension and we hook into the New Earth matrix. And so I think it's just really recognizing where we start to leak energy and then pulling back that energy and just resonating in our home frequency and recognizing within ourselves our need to control in order to feel safe. I just feel like that's such a subtle program, but it's so huge in the way we're just genetically made to have the animal instinct of, am I safe? And, so much so that like I'll just recognize thought patterns throughout my day of like, well, am I cold? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Like I'm always checking in to regulate my body of whether or not I'm safe. And that's like, such a subtle thing, but you can expand that reality into the third dimensional matrix. And so instead of hooking into these programs of judgment or duality, I'm going to choose to hook into the New Earth matrix. So we could just ask for the download of being conscious of where we're leaking energy in the third dimensional reality and reconnecting to the New Earth matrix.
I feel like the places where I'm losing energy is where I'm feeling separate.
Where you're feeling separate? Yes.
when I'm feeling separate, like separate from source.
I wanted to say something on that. I'm feeling like the way to correct feeling separate is to, every time you feel separate, is to envision yourself as being a cell in the body of the one creator, which that's how I envision my physical body. I envision it as a huge cell that is a cell, as other, like you're a cell, we're all a cell, or a portion of the God body. And as such, we all have our individual functions. And when we begin to feel separate, we've lost that feeling of being that cell in the God body. And when you reconnect to yourself, your whatever you want to call it, this vision of who we think we are down here, when you reconnect that as being a portion of the God body or the Godhead, then you no longer can feel separate. So that's what I work on, is just try to identify why I'm feeling, like you said, separate, and then take my essence and then re-envision a part of the God body. That also sends all these love energies to me, because as I reconnect with the God body, I'm seeing people who used to irritate me as a part of me, and no longer do I can't feel separate.
And it's like, if you take that even a little, like when we go into that energy of separateness, like I can remember having a channeling from the Council of Light, and I asked what the root of all disease was. And that's not just the disease of the body, but disease of the mind, the disease of consciousness. And it said the root of it was being separate. And so I asked, well, what is beyond that? And it was that you don't trust. And so it's going back to that place of trust and flow. And so in those moments that we feel separate, it's choosing to trust in the divine matrix, to trust in the divine mind, and like you said, Barbara, like reconnect to the God body. Mm-hmm. And it's in that choice of choosing trust over separation that we're really like moving past the consciousness of duality.
Right, absolutely. And you're reconnecting to that God source and feeling the energies. Immediately when I do that, I feel the energy of that God source, where before I did feel separate. I felt alone and separate. And it just changed everything for me. And I can actually say that within the last month, that by doing that exercise, I have actually been able to not get involved in, let's say I'm watching a news report on TV, and I'm looking at what's happening in the world, and I'm learning from what's happening and all the interactions of these different people in the world. And I'm observing now, and I'm not being pulled into that negativity, but I'm observing what is happening, and I'm learning from how the interaction of these different entities are and seeing how separate they are, and then I'm projecting my love and my oneness to be reconnected to all of those entities out there that are feeling separate. And immediately I feel this surge of love and energy. That is how I have started to learn to work with reconnecting to the Godhead, and then using that information and sending it back out there to all the people who feel separate.
Wow. Well, can we take a moment and step onto the New Earth Golden Platform and put our hands at our heart center and ask to be downloaded with the memory of being part of the God body?
Beautiful.
I love that.
Yes. Thank you, Naomi.
Wow, just by asking, we just get the download immediately, and I can just feel the connection, the love, the support. I think this is a beautiful tool, Barbara. I'm going to start doing it.
It has really been beneficial for me because I have felt like there was something missing there that was causing me to disconnect, and I didn't really understand what it was, and I don't even know where it came from, but somehow I got this information or this energy or this that said to me, you can't disconnect from what's happening around the world. You can't disconnect and hide your head in the sand. You have to be able to see it for what it is, because you can't help shine your light to all those out there who are in separation if you can't watch it, observe it, feel the energy of connecting, reconnecting to the God force, and then take that energy you're feeling and beam it out to all the people who are feeling separate. And by doing that, it's like taking your arms and gathering up all those souls out there and bringing them into your heart and making all of us one.
That's lovely. I love that. Wow, I almost feel like this is such a great place to just like almost bring in some sort of closing and just let people just kind of rest in that energy of connecting to, the God body. I just love that. Barbara, do you want to kind of do just like a closing little prayer or meditation around that where people can just really continue to connect to that energy?
Okay. I'd love to.
Yes, Barbara, hold on one second. To add to that, I see like us all reaching out and holding hands and like making this circle with all of us holding hands for all these people inside who feel separate right now.
I love
that. Let's all hold that visualization.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. This is my prayer, that all who hear my voice will feel the energy of the oneness of the Godhead and how we're all connected in one mind, one spirit, one body. Each person reaching out to all other souls that are in this third dimensional reality, bringing your love and light, feeling the connection and the oneness in all that there is, and sharing that love and light with all of those around us, not only in the third dimension, but in the whole universe. All the souls and energies are one. We're all connected. No one is separate. We are sharing that energy and that knowingness with all those out there that are feeling lonely and separate. And so it is.
It is done. Thank you for that, Barbara. And thank you, Naomi, for spending this time as we connect to our star family and create this community on our new earth reality.
That was great. I love you guys so much.
Love you. And
love you guys.
Love you. We'll see you all next week.
Sounds good. Bye-bye to all you souls out there. We're connecting up. You can't get away.
I love the Quincy's. It's such a gift.
Yes, it was.